It is Sherry Schoen, and you are watching Good Advice. So, today we have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to talk about from blah to bling. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to start getting that bling back in your life and getting the blah out of your life, right? But before we get into that, I do have to talk about what I've been eating this week. So, what I've been eating this week is so funny. I have actually been trying to get back on my health kick full force. So I've been not eating sugar and not eating wheat. And I know some of you might be going, oh my gosh, she's one of those people. And I actually am starting to become one of those people. I never thought that I could have so much natural energy and natural ability to be able to be shiny as when I started changing my diet. So, for example, I have fruits and vegetables. I have less fruits and more vegetables. And then for any of my carbs that I have squash, or I have quinoa, or I have brown rice. I still have meat every now and then, but I limit it to around 6 ounces per day. So that is what I've been doing, and it's actually been amazing, and I've already lost quite a bit of weight. Not that that was the objective. The reason I was really getting into it was actually the reason for this show. I started to feel that malaise, where you just kind of go, oh, and you put your head down on your table at work or at home, and when people talk to you, you kind of just want to tell them to go away because you'd rather be in your malaise. That's the blah that I'm talking about. And to get myself out of that, I started meditating, I started chanting, and I started praying. And when that didn't work, then I actually got some of the messages that I'm doing everything right, except for what I'm putting in my body. And that was a mind changer, a game changer for me. So, blah, blah, blah. When you're thinking about that ability to not focus, you have that feeling where you just don't want to belong in this world. You're just done. You're just done. So, I will give my disclaimer like I give to any of the shows that I have. If you have a true mental health condition, it was great for you to go ahead and see an actual professional. There's great therapists out there. There are therapists that work pro bono. There's therapy groups. There's advice that you can get from a mental health professional over the phone. I'd stay away from the online ones, if you know what I'm saying. But if you need actual mental health advice, then I would recommend those. But if what you're going through is something that's just a malaise, that you have got yourself into this funk, here are some good advice for getting yourself out of that funk. So the first thing I want to do is G. So, G. G is going to stand for getting into the blah. It sounds odd, but when you're starting to feel that blah, that malaise, that sadness, that depression, what I want you to do is get yourself really into it. It's probably something different than anything you've ever heard. It's a great technique though. When you first start to do this, I want you to find a comfortable place. Like here, I have my meditation room where I have my altar. If you could see where my altar is, I have an area where I have a floor area where you can have a seat, have a squat, and be able to really concentrate with closed eyes on that feeling of blah. So when you allow yourself to really go there, right? Because that's what the G is for. I want you to really get into that blah, get into that sadness, get into that dark place that you might have, and start to allow spirit to move through that and give you ideas for the blah. Not even why you're getting it, but really pay attention to it. Start to give yourself ideas of what it is. Is it a certain color? Is it a certain feeling? Is it a certain scent? Even is it a certain person? Without judgment, Allow yourself to rest and relax in that place and truly focus on that area. How many times do we allow ourselves to do that? So, for example, if I was starting to feel at work that I was starting to have no energy or joy or focus anymore, when I get home, not on the drive home and not at my desk, when I get home, I'm going to find a closed, quiet space to myself. And I'm going to really concentrate on that feeling, that emotion of how horrible I feel at that job. When you're in that place, give yourself time to truly be in that space. Imagine yourself in that area. Oh, I feel so bad at this job. You close your eyes, you're getting into that workspace. You imagine yourself entering that workspace. You imagine yourself walking through and meeting the people that you feel contribute to your blah. You imagine yourself going through that whole day of blah. Then you start to focus on other things that might give you the blahs. Let's say that there's a certain meeting every day that always brings you down. Or there's a certain report that you get in your email every day that brings you down. Or there's a customer that you have to deal with. And that customer always brings you down, always gives you the blahs. And I want you to really concentrate on those people, those events, and start to think colors, scents, situations, scenarios, light, dark, heavy, light. Start thinking about those objects and thinking about other ways to associate them. So, for example, if I had someone in the office, let's say his name is Jim, and Jim always bugs me at the office. It just drives me crazy. Then what I'm going to do is focus on my interactions with Jim and allow myself to, without judgment, consider those conversations. How does it get started? What do we talk about? What do we end up disagreeing on or agreeing? And then what is the feeling that I have after he leaves? And once I see that, I want to take that like it's a ball, right? And I'm going to concentrate on that emotion, on that energy. And I'm going to allow myself to really get into it and really start to talk to it. What's up with the blah with you and Jim in that conversation? Have a little conversation with it. How are you doing? Why is this bugging you so much? What does this maybe remind you of? What are some objects that are in your way? What are some ways that you can think of that you can try to help yourself out of this blah? And the point isn't to solve the problem right now. The point is to really allow yourself to be mindful of what is going on in that scenario. Once you get that scenario in your head, I want you to truly spend time focusing on it. And then after you're finished focusing on it, if you can, I would love it if you could release it. But if there are messages or words or phrases that came to you in this point of meditation, I encourage you to break those out and write those down or record them. And the next day that you start your day, before you have a confrontation or a discussion with Jim, I want you to pick up some of the words of wisdom that you had from Spirit or some of the ideas that you had and start your day with those. The next thing that's another mindfulness technique for getting into the blah. And this one's actually the exact opposite of getting into the blah. And it's another mindfulness exercise. So many of you have a freezer full of ice cubes, right? We all have ice cubes. Some of us do, some of us don't like ice. So maybe we don't have ice cubes. But if you're one of those people that has ice cubes, it sounds funny. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go get one of those pieces of ice when you're in this funk, right? And I want you to put it in your hand. And mindfully, I want you to concentrate on the ice melting in your hands. It's a mindfulness technique that helps you get into the moment and get away from those scenarios and situations that are around you. Who knew, right? Another thing that you can do that's a mindful technique is for you to walk around with, let's say that you're in a really stressful environment and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't leave your job. You can't leave your spouse that's driving you crazy. You can't leave your kids that are driving you crazy. So what I want you to do is this. I have a nice little trusty rubber band on my wrist. Very easy, very simple. You can pick one up from anywhere. And what I want you to do is when you're starting to get the blah, I want you to snap it. Very simple. Another way to bring yourself back into that mindfulness of, I'm present. I'm in the moment. I'm having this experience and I'm fully going to go through this experience. I'm having anger. I'm having frustration. I'm having sadness. When you start to feel those feelings, I want you to snap, bring yourself into that feeling and allow yourself to truly feel it. Don't think of, oh, I'm going to push it to the side, or I'm not going to allow myself to feel it, because that's not what good mothers do. I want you to really give yourself permission to feel that emotion because it's happening for a reason, right? There's always a reason that we have these emotions, and if we continue to let them manifest and move forward and grow like a snowball, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they're unwieldy. And then you do have an absolute blowout. So that's one way to G, which is get into the blah. The next word that I want you to think about is O, and that's owning the blah. So this sounds a little odd, but most of my advice does. So when you're trying to get owned into the blah or owning the blah, I want you to, there's a favorite song of mine called The World Still Turns by Tracy Bonham. It's a great, really lovely, sad song if you ever are in that mood. And it basically is about a person that's really upset that the world is still turning even though they're having one of the worst days of their life. So when you're having a bad day or when you're having that feeling of blah, I want you to own that feeling by allowing yourself, again, to escape into a quiet place. And with closed eyes, I want you to own that blah by allowing yourself to get away from that blah. So my first bit of advice was to grab it. My next, I'm saying own the blah by getting away from it. And how you get away from it is, I want you to sit in silence and think of all the things that are still happening outside of your space, even though you're having this day. Is the world still turning? Are the leaves still falling? Are the birds still outside? Are people still at Starbucks? Are your coworkers still working? Is your spouse still making dinner? All of those things are still happening without your control. And the reason I ask you to own the blah is because when you do the exact opposite of what you may think you need to do and start realizing that the world will continue without you, it'll help you understand that that you don't need to control the world. The world is fine on its own. Everything else is going on fine, perfectly fine without you. With these 5 minutes that you're taking to spend time with yourself and meditate or to visualize or to own that blah, everything is still going around you just fine, just fine. So now what I need you to do is get back into the swing of things after you own that blah. But I'll talk about that in a minute once I start getting into the bling. There's another O that you can use, and this one is called organize. And to organize, it's great. It's one of my favorite exercises that I recommend to clients all of the time. We're going to throw you a pity party. Now, how do you throw yourself a pity party? It's amazing. Go into a dollar store and find discount hat. You're going to need streamers. How do you celebrate, right? You're going to need candles. You're going to need a kazoo. You're going to need party things. Whatever you want to throw yourself a party, For one, I want you to go ahead and allow yourself and give yourself permission to do that. When I've asked people to do these before, let's say that their idea of a pity party color would be black. Then I want them to color and decorate their space that they're having a pity party in black. Nothing but black. It's a fun exercise. And once you bring it all home, you set up everything the way you want. Yay, I have my pity party. I have my hat on. I have my black streamers. I have my place decorated in my pity party morning mood. Maybe I put on something that's really depressing and sad. Maybe I put on some music that's depressing and sad. I have my Kleenex box next to me. Maybe I'm going to allow myself to watch a sad movie. And you really allow yourself and give yourself a pity party. I really recommend that you do this sometime and then email me at sherry@sherryshown.com and let me know how it went. There is a couple of reasons, of course, to do this other than you get to spend time having, a sad time crying. One is so that it allows you to actually release. Another reason is to give yourself permission to have that release. And third is the final part of the pity party. The final part of the pity party is packing up after you're done. After you're finished, grab all of those items that you purchased and put them all away. You can put them away if you're green. Please do. Put them away in a tote or something like that for another time. Or you can throw them away if you want. Another thing that I want you to do is take a piece of parchment paper. Take a piece of parchment paper and write down your feelings at the time. I'm having this pity party because my wedding ring doesn't fit anymore because I've gained 20 pounds and now I'm going to have to get it cut off. Oh my gosh, and you just boo-hoo and you let it all out and you scream and you say whatever you need to say. You're going to write it all down on this piece of parchment paper. And then at the end of the pity party, after you packed everything up, I want you to take the piece of parchment paper that you had and I want you to, hopefully you have a great place to do this. I want you to take a candle, like I have my lovely candle here, and I want you to light the parchment paper on fire. When you light the parchment paper on fire, I want you to, as it's burning safely, I need you to extinguish it. Just blow the piece of parchment paper out. If you have a wonderful area to put anything that's on fire, then I want you to put that in that receptacle and allow it to just burn out. Allow it to just burn out. And as you watch that burned out message go away, then hopefully it'll remind you that you too can allow those feelings to diminish, to go out into the universe and allow other things to come in now that you've allowed yourself to clean and allowed yourself to cleanse from that healing time. The next part is D, do something. So we had the G, we had the O, we had the O, the D. Now the next part is D. The D is part of doing something. So another way to get out of the blah, or another way to focus on the blah, is to physically do something. One way that I do that is to volunteer. Volunteer, if you love animals, volunteer at a rescue shelter. If you love hanging around with adults, maybe go to a senior home where they need somebody to help there. If you want to go to a soup kitchen, there are so many places that you can volunteer. If you go on to volunteer.org, they will actually set you up with a place where you can volunteer and spend some of your time. Now let's say you don't have time to volunteer. I don't have time, Sherry. I'm so busy, and that's one of my complaints. That's why I'm so blah. It's because I'm so stressed from all of these things. Another thing that you can do to do something else is to donate. Donate is a great way for you to get some of the blah out of your system because you're helping others, plus you're getting rid of some of the junk around your house. So donate some items like clothes that don't fit anymore, or lawn mowers that maybe you don't use anymore, or TVs that you're never going to use, or books, or any of those things. Somebody else will enjoy all of those things that you have to give. The best part is not only is it a tax write-off, which is lovely, but it's also a way for you to help others, plus help yourself by getting stuff out, of course, but also by doing that good karmic favor. So that's another way to. Let's start getting into the bling. Now, enough of the bling. So is what I enjoy most, because the bling is not about a diamond ring. It isn't about I'm going to have the big huge house or the big huge mansion or the yacht. All of those things are considered bling. But did you know that the bling word actually didn't come from Lil Wayne, the rapper? It didn't come from him. It's actually a word that just got started. Whoops, sorry about that. And the word actually got started by a chewing gum commercial from Ultra Bright chewing gum, and that was back in the 70s or 80s. I'm really dating myself, but I don't care. And that one is all about, they were talking about, oh, chew this gum, it's great gum, and it'll give you that bling that you need. That's where they got it. Years later, Lil Wayne came out and started saying something about bling in one of his songs, and then Martin Lawrence picked it up, and then from there it just picked up and it just went through the hip-hop world like crazy. So that's where bling came from. But I'm not talking about the ostentatious bling that way. I'm talking about spiritually bringing the light onto something that we see dark. That's what I'm talking about, the bling. So really bringing something into focus where you can concentrate and work on it to the best of your ability. So for example, when I think of bling, I think of an idea or a thought that I've been manifesting. And how am I going to get that out into the universe? How am I going to get my ultimate Sherry out so that everyone can see and hear the good advice of Sherry? That's my bling. What's your bling? I would love to hear what your bling is. So one idea that I hear a lot of people talk about is, I want to be a light worker. I want to start helping other people. Maybe that's your bling. What if it's, I want to be a musician or an artist or a chef? Maybe it's as small as, I want to read better. I want to have better spelling. I want to get my GED. I want to afford glasses. These kind of things can be your bling because they're your dream, they're your goal. They're those things that keep you going every single day. And the way that I want you to recommend or work with bling is to bring forth focus onto those items by shining light onto those items. The way to do that is also another good word. So the first thing that I need you to do is get to work. Okay, so I understand we just went through blah, and we just talked about ways to calmly meditate, work through things that are blah. However, there are other exercises that you can do that can go straight into healing, and this is one of my favorite ones. It's called the pickaxe technique. So when you're focused on that item, let's say that this to me is my focus point for my ability to get a new job. I want to get a new job. So I'm in my mind's eye focusing my attention on that object. I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to focus on. This is my job. And I'm going to imagine that this is the goal. This item is the goal. This is the job that I want. And in my mind's eye, I'm going to start thinking about getting one of those little pickaxes, one of those little small axes that you can pick up that help chip away at rocks. And as I think about that, I kind of go, well, to do that, I'm going to have to mentally focus on using this imaginary axe and chipping away at it, and just chipping away at it. So I want you to allow yourself to continue to chip away literally and physically at this axe, at this, this goal, this idea. I'm getting this job. I have this job. I have this job. And continue to chip away at it a little bit at a time. And as you do, I want you to imagine or visualize that there are items coming off of this. There are little pieces and nuggets of information that are coming forth every time you strike it. As you get little pieces of nuggets of information from this pickaxe, from this imaginary tapping at this object that you have, I want you to take the time to write all of those items down. Let's say that something as silly as Christmas comes up. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm going to write it down. And I keep chopping at it and chopping at it and chopping at it and chopping at it. What if I see something what if something else that falls off of this is forestry? I go, what's forestry? I don't know. I'm going to write it down. And then I'm going to keep chipping away at it and chipping away at it. Once you get all of your items until you've chipped away at this goal as much as you possibly can, or as much as you physically want, then I want you to go through and look at the words of wisdom that you got from the chipping exercise. So for example, I saw Christmas or I saw forestry. That might give me some ideas. Is there a job on Forest Street that I need to apply for? Is Forest Street the location of a building where I'm going to open my own shop? Is Christmas the best time to get that shop? Or is Christmas one of the times that I need to start looking? All of these things are maps from Spirit to you to help you achieve your dreams because you did this technique. So do that and see what happens and let me know. The next thing I want you to do is oxidize. Now, oxidizing sounds pretty funny, and it's part of getting yourself outside of the house, like what we did for the Do for Something Else, except this really physically is getting oxygen. When we allow ourselves to focus on a dream or a goal, some of the time we feel the only way that we can visualize or meditate is to sit in one place with our hands in a position of prayer or our hands in a position of thankfulness and awe. But some of the time it's even better to get outside and walk. Walk and think about your goal. Walk with the attitude and with the gratitude of already getting that goal. That's part of law of attraction, right? What your words come out, what your ideas are, that's what comes back to you. All of those things are brought out, all of those things come back. So, very easy. Get yourself out of the house and start to take a walk. And as you walk, start thinking about that affirmation. Think about that actual goal. And continue without any judgment, just looking around. Are there signs outside that are helping you determine what steps you need to take? Is the act of actually stepping helping you to realize that getting this goal is just like taking a nice, calm walk? There's nobody chasing you, hopefully. It depends. If you're in New York, I've heard that it could happen. But if you're just walking around your neighborhood, are there areas that maybe started to interest you that you never thought about? Are there books on the shelves of a bookstore that you never thought about getting that might help you with your goal? Are there people that you meet on the way that might be helping you with your goal? All of those things are reasons that you want to get out of the house. As you continue to walk and allow yourself to pick up any of these messages, you also want to do a lot of breathing. A lot of breathing, a lot of cleansing breathing. The focus of the bling, right, is to bring that information, that laser fine pinpoint into what you're thinking about for your goal. So as I'm walking, if I'm walking and I'm thinking about weight loss, right, and I'm like, wow, I love eating healthy food. I enjoy being active. I enjoy a smaller, healthy, disease-free body. And you're just walking, right? And you're just having a good old time as you're walking. You may not know it, but you're actually reinforcing some of the ideas and some of the thoughts and some of the words that are coming into your mouth and into your head that might say, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, no, what I really want is to keep walking until I get to a Taco Bell. Your, your head is actually working as you're continually walking, and continue to tell yourself those affirmative statements, because those help you reach your goals faster as well. So getting out of your house is so important. Getting out of your office is important. Getting out of a situation is important. If you're having some areas where you need to focus, let's say that you're opening your own business and you're at that very last point where you're getting ready to sign the paperwork, and something tells you, I don't know if this is right or not, I don't know if I should be doing this, then get out of that situation. Just allow yourself to physically go out and breathe. Even if it means excusing yourself from the signing and saying, I need to go take a really quick 2-second thing, I'll be right back. And you go, you let yourself go and oxidize and get some oxygen back into your system. Allow your head to clear. Allow yourself to breathe, and then get back into that situation. It's funny how some of these bits of advice that I'm giving you are all around permission, right? Because I think as adults, when we're raising kids or when we're kids ourselves, we had some control, but we didn't have the amount of control that we have now on our lives. And as we're being told what to do by somebody else, day after day, year after year, month after month, we start to get very used to being controlled. As you're building your bling, as you're going from blah to bling, and I won't do my maracas again because, anyway, as you're going from blah to bling, you're allowing yourself, you're giving yourself permission to take that control really back into your life, but in a positive and loving control, as opposed to I have to control this because I don't trust spirit. No, that's not what I'm saying. You totally trust spirit, and you trust spirit to do everything that needs to be done in your life, including when you hear, I need to do something else. And how do you do that if you're not present and mindful to hear, right? So that's why I'm asking you about this. We asked about that. Oh, the maracas, yes. Oh, thank you. Maraca away. Yay! Okay. So that's another way to get back into the bling. And it's a great way to get into it. Yes, we're going to talk about Om, but the next thing I want to talk about is a loosening up of the bling. So one of the things that I love to do when I'm getting myself into no maracas, oh no. One of the things that I love to do when I'm getting into my blingy state, when I have my laser point, I'm pinpointed on my goal, I know exactly what I want, I start to dance and sing and get out there and shake my booty and really get into it, because it's fun and it's happy and it helps you to pinpoint to your goal even faster, if that makes sense. Another thing that you could do is, do you have a drum? Or let's say that you don't have a drum. Do you have a table? Do you have a chair? Do you have a thigh that you can touch? Okay, great. Here's a great exercise. When you're getting close to that goal, I want you to seriously start drumming yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm so close to this goal. What else do I need to know, Spirit? Is there something I'm missing? Is there something that I'm not hearing? Is there something I need to play gratitude for? Is there something else I need to be thankful for? Yay, Karen, bring out your tambourine. Yay, see? And then you do all of that and you continue to get yourself more involved and more involved in the bling. I am so happy for this bling. I cannot wait. I am so close to this. I'm not only just close to this, I'm ready for this. I have this happening. This is happening in my life. It is amazing. You just can't hold it in. And as you're holding it in, if you start to feel any negative energies or thoughts or things that try to make you go, oh, it's not going to happen, I want you to even tambourine louder next to that part that says, you can't do this, you can't do this. I want you to just shake right next to that. And then when something else happens over here, then you go over here and you shake to that. And that's a great way for you guys to get the bling back into your life. I hope you guys are enjoying this because I'm having fun. Um, Now let's talk about other ways to um, get yourself back into that happy place, right? So we talked about getting yourself really, really high energy, and now let's talk about getting into the Om state, or the state where you're going to allow yourself to get back calm again. Even though I love to dance around just as much as anybody else, and I love to shake my head just somebody else. Oh, I have to tell you this story. So I was hanging out bowling with some friends of mine yesterday, and part of the people that were hanging out with me, there was a little 6-year-old girl, and she was the epitome of what I'm talking about. When we first started bowling, she was so sad and she didn't want to do anything and she was very lethargic. And so every time she finished bowling, we all were like, "Yay, you've been doing a great job. You're doing such a great job." And by the third frame, she was so hyped up about she could do such a great job bowling that she actually almost beat us adults. Whoops. She did have that ramp though, so that probably helped her cheat a little bit. But she's 6. I'm not going to get upset. Even though part of me was like, wait a minute. Anyway. So, yeah, fixating on the word Om or a chant, whatever is it, because some people don't want to say Om. Whatever. Let's say that you wanted to get that job, right? Yes, you did. Yep. She beat me. So she did beat us all. She got in like 3rd place, and the rest of us were like, "Come on, really?" Anyway, so when you focus on your word, so let's say your word is job, or let's say your word is peace, or let's say your word is happiness, or let's say your word is love. Pick one word. And then, if you're one of those people that likes to cross your legs, great. Me, I don't need to cross my legs for any, well, that's another show. But I don't want to cross my legs. So what I do is I usually sit. That is true. I wanted to use that ramp, Kim. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I don't like to use the sitting on my, butt and doing all of that. So what I do love to use, though, is, I hope you can see this, my exercise ball. That is the best thing in the world. If you ever thought I had balls, now you know. But that is the best thing in the world to chant on. It is absolutely amazing. So what you do is you sit down on the ball, you allow yourself to get really comfortable, cozy. You bring your temperature back after we played with maracas and tamarines, even though that was amazing. I do have balls, see? So once you get into that state, then allow yourself to get comfortable where you either hold your hands into the place of where you're actually cupping them and bringing focus back, or you can put your hands on your knees, or you can pat your hands around your eyes. No, I'm just kidding. That's another game, because then we go heads, knees, toes, shoulders. Then we do the Macarena, and then that's something different. That's a totally different relaxing exercise. This one is actually allowing yourself to relax and breathe in and out, and you're going to repeat that actual phrase. So, for example, mine might be love. I won't say balls because that's in my head now, and so, it's a funny chanting word, and I think it's kind of funny. But if I said that my word was love, then I'm going to chant that word, love, 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 and I'm just going to say it over and over again. Love, love, love. And some of you may start to feel like, oh, this is silly or whatever, but I really encourage you to continue to chant through this exercise. Give yourself a good 5 minutes of really chanting what is your goal, the one word that is your goal. And when you think about your goal, you might think, I want a yacht, I want a Mercedes, I want a BMW. Okay, yeah, okay, we can start there. But why don't we finish with this? What is it going to bring you? Is it going to bring you love? Is it going to bring you respect? Is it going to bring you success? Is it going to bring you happiness? Is it going to bring you joy? And that's the word I want you to chant on, not the BMW. You don't want to sit there and go, 16-inch rims, 16-inch rims, right? Who is that helping? No, I want you to really concentrate on the one word that helps you figure out what you're going to do to get that bling. That's the part that's exciting, right? Getting the bling is about getting yourself out of the physical and back into that spiritual space. There are some great ideas for how to work unity. Thank you, Mr. Jared. Yeah, unity. That's a damn good word. Yeah, that's just lovely. One thing that you can do is, let's say that you want to focus on a word, but not a word, but you want to do some chanting, but you also want to start looking at having incense or oils or things like that. Great, that's lovely. Definitely connect with Metaluna Bookstore and Stones. Go online and get some oils or incense or even meditation books or techniques. Or another one is Scott Cunningham's book on incense, oils, and brews. Ooh, Metaluna Boutique at stones.com. Okay, so another place that you can go is if you want to pick up the complete book of incense, oils, and brews by Scott Cunningham. It's amazing, and it'll give you some other ideas for when you're chanting, because some of us like a scent, some of us like an oil. I know I love to chant with a certain type of oil. I usually use amber. The next thing that I would recommend that you get is, let's say this is really bugging you and you can't do a dang chant. You're not going to sit in your house and scare your cat by chanting. You're just not going to do it. Here's another exercise that you can do. It's very simple. Hold a candle. Ah, hold a candle and stare at the flame. And allow that mindfulness to that flame to continue to calm you down, to continue to keep you focused on your goal. It's almost the same exercise that we did with the rock. Let's say that you don't want to use a candle. Well, do you have a Celestine tower? You can use the same thing. Get yourself a nice, beautiful tower and imagine that your goal's at the top of this peak. And you need to find a way to get all the way around it. So just imagine yourself going around it. What are those hills and valleys that you're going to have to get away from? What are those chippy little weird places that you're going to have to get around from? Imagine those points. And those are the points that you need to focus on. They're so lovely. So lovely. And next part is dream on. So that's the third and final D, guys. Can you guys believe it? You guys made it through 2 series of goods with me. Okay, so the last thing is dream on. So now that you're here, now that you're in this state, now that you know what your bling is and you know where you want to concentrate all of that light and all of that energy, then let's start figuring out, what do you do next? The one way that I do that is to use my tarot cards. So I have the tarot of the deck of heroes today because I thought it would be hilarious to have this deck. And what I'm going to do is, let's say my focus is on that job, right? I'm going to get, no. I know what I'm going to do. My focus is on getting that man. And if you know me well, you know how funny that is that I'm saying that. Anyway, so I'm going to focus on getting that man, and I'm going to shuffle my deck. I'm going to shuffle my deck until I'm pretty much told that it's time to stop shuffling. Okay? So this is just for an example. So I'm just going to go through. I wish you could tell me, like I'm a magician. Pick a card. Which card, guys? I'm going to pick this card. And this is now going to become my, thank you, that one. This is going to be my, this is pretty funny. Gosh, I hope this turns out. So this is going to be my focus on, now that I'm here, how am I going to get to there? This will be the answer to that question, and that's why we did the shuffle. And it's pretty funny, but I hope you can see this. But here's what the answer was. It was the Page of Wands, but I love the deck of Heroes because it's so tongue-in-cheek. And it's a beautifully adorned man that's turned away from the ocean. And I wish you could see it better. But anyway, he's turned away from the ocean, and if you could see his buns, that's so funny. But basically what he's doing is, other than being cheesecake, he is actually holding the wand, and there's a sun rise coming up from the right, and then it looks cloudy, but there's actually a burning, smoldering kind of flame coming up from the bottom. So for this, to me, if I'm thinking about what do I need to do next, because now that I have this smolder, and now that I have this burning fire, it's almost like he's on top. I want to say that he's on top of a roof. So to me, once you get to the mountaintop, the only thing I can think of that would be logical for you to do, other than give a lot of thanks for being in that situation, is really to enjoy the view. So that's what I got from my reading. So what I want you to do is go out and do your own bits of bling and blah. So the words for blah were, you're going to get into the blah, you're going to own the blah, you're going to organize yourself a pity party, and then you're going to do something else. And then to get into the bling, you are going to get to work, you're going to oxidize, you're going to and you are going to dream on. Now that you've made your connection to spirit, now that you have that ability to go forward, now I want you to go on, which is lovely. So I hope you enjoyed getting from blah to bling. Please check out my show. Not only will I have the archives up on youtube.com/Sherry Schoen, but I'm also going to be doing more and more things for you all, and that is the Shiny Shot. The Shiny Shot is all about you. Thank you so much for watching my show and hanging out with me all this time. It's been so much fun, and I can't wait to get into new enterprises. I'm going to be spending a lot more time with my meetup groups and helping others learn more about the fun and power of tarot and spiritual gifts and how to keep those things going, guys. And I'm just very happy that this has all happened with me. So thank you all for joining my show and for hanging out with me. And may your path always be shown. And I hope you tune in another time to listen to some more good advice. Bye, guys.